So we have one more teller for you tonight, one more lie coming on stage. This is Miss Laura Deal. She is joining us from Colorado. She is a storyteller and a dream reader and been telling stories since 2016. We are excited to have you here, Miss Laura. Thank you so much. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much. What a great night this has been. So I had a neighbor. She was a hoarder, and as she got older, she wasn't able to take care of herself very well. She finally moved to assisted living, but the house just sat there unoccupied. Well, unoccupied except for the birds drilling holes in the siding and the rodents moving in, and the lawn grew tall with weeds. And it was like that for about 3 years. And then when she died, God rest her soul, the house was sold and the new owners came and they cleaned everything up and they cut all the weeds down. And it was just after that, I was out in my garden, my vegetable garden, and I heard a sound. It was like breathing, but it seemed to be coming from the ground. I couldn't figure it out. And while I was standing there puzzling on it, my next door neighbor, who has an incredible backyard garden with some tall native grasses and beautiful flowers, well, he came over and he said, I have voles in my garden. Now, if you have never met a vole, count yourself lucky. They are small rodents with big, curved, nasty teeth and diggy claws, and they make tunnels everywhere. So he asked if I would be willing to let my cat Grayson come over and hunt some voles. Now, Grayson's a very good mouser. I try not to let him outside because, you know, birds and all of that. But I thought in the interest of keeping the rodent population down in the neighborhood, we would do that. So I take Grayson out to my garden. We'll test it out there first. And he can hear it too. And he crouches down and he's just like listening and listening. But there are no voles moving anywhere. It's just the... So I went and got some garden tools. I figured I might as well do some work while we wait and see what happens. But by the time I get back from the garage with my rake and my other tools, Grayson is perched up on top of the compost bin and he is looking absolutely terrified. And the breathing has gotten louder. We still don't see any voles. Well, I took pity on the poor cat and I took him inside and I thought, all right, there's got to be something you can do to get rid of voles that doesn't involve, you know, poison and all that stuff. And so I get on Google and I look it up and I find out that apparently if you take coffee grounds and you sprinkle it around the openings of their tunnels, they don't like that and they'll leave. And I think, perfect. I've got this peppermint coffee in the freezer that's been there for way too long. I've long ago lost my taste for it. I'll use that. So I take it out to the garden and I sprinkle it all around and it smells much better than it ever tasted. And I leave it overnight. I figure we'll check back the next day. So the next day I take Grayson out with me again. We get to the garden gate and we freeze because there are voles everywhere. They are running and jumping and hopping and bopping, and they are going in their tunnels and out of their tunnels, and they are racing around. They are like just crazy, I guess, on the coffee. Maybe they like the peppermint. So Grayson, his hunting instincts totally kick in and he's chasing after them. But, you know, they go down in the hole and then they come up in another place. It was a whack-a-mole game for him. But I figure, you know, he's getting his exercise, right? So I leave him to it. And I notice that those rodents, they have eaten my lettuce. They have nibbled it down to a nubbin. And that righteous anger that every gardener feels about rodents in their garden, it rises in my chest. And I stand up and I don't see any voles and I don't see Grayson, but I hear breathing. And it's over by the mint plant. Well, I go over and There's a legion of voles. They are holding the cat down. They are lined up on his legs, on his front legs, his back legs, his big fluffy tail. They're lined up along his back, and there's a little pyramid of them sticking up on his head. And the one on the very top is standing on his hind legs, and he's holding a dandelion, like they're defending the barricades or something. Well, I do the very most important thing first. I get out my phone and take a picture. And then I go to rescue the poor cat because he's clearly distressed. But I take a step closer, and that one with the dandelion bares its teeth. And I think about, what if they get me down on the ground like that, and all those nibbly teeth nibbling at me? And I don't like the idea at all. So I see the rake by the fence, and I grab the rake. I think I'll pull the voles off the cat with the rake, but as soon as I lift it up, they give some kind of little whoop signal, and they all scatter. Well, as soon as he's free, Grayson leaps up and runs for the house. From 15 feet out of the porch, he jumps onto the porch and slides to a stop at the sliding glass door, and I am right behind him. I let him in, and he disappears somewhere. I don't see him for another couple days. So clearly, the coffee's not going to work, and Grayson's probably never going back to the garden. So back to Google. I find out that there's somebody that makes this stake. It's a plastic stake, and it goes in the ground, has a little solar panel on the top, and it makes a sound that apparently the voles don't like. Well, I don't want to buy another plastic thing. And besides, it's bolder. I call up a few friends, and within an hour, we have a drum circle set up in my garden. If they don't like sound in the ground, we can do that. So we set our drums right there on the ground, and we listen, and we can hear them. So we pick up the beat, ba-bum, 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 and we're drumming, and we really start getting in the groove. And then we throw in some syncopation. I figure maybe the voles won't like that since they all seem to breathe together. And it seems to be working. I can see them leaving out the ends of their tunnels and headed to my neighbor's yard. Well, we'll get rid of them out of his yard later. It's working. It's brilliant. And we wind down and we come to a close. The success is just so sweet. And then I see they're all coming back from my neighbor's yard, and they're bringing their cousins and their aunts and their uncles and their grandkids. And it's an enormous carpet of voles, and they surround us in the garden. We're in a circle that's probably 20 or 30 voles deep, and they're all breathing together. And we start breathing with them. And then they stand up on their hind legs and they start clapping. Well, clearly they want us to drum some more. So we do. And we get going, and it's incredible. The voles start doing this shifting mandala. They're like making spirals and going in and out. I tell you, it's like seeing the secrets of the universe. It's just amazing. And when we finally wind it all down, the voles are all, and they point to the watering can. Well, I can take a hint. I go in the house and I get them bowls of water, and I bring it out, and I bring out my seed packets, because I'm going to let them tell me what they want in the garden. Because while I was drumming and I was watching that mandala, I had this vision of a YouTube channel that would earn me a fortune. I mean, I figure it's better to work with your neighbors, even if they're rodents, than to chase opportunity away. I mean, after all, we all breathe the same air. Thank you.